Hi, everyone. I'm Brenda Butner. This is Bulls and Bears. Here they are, the Bulls and Bears this week. Gary B. Smith, Tracy Burns, Jonas Max Ferris, John Layfield, along with David Mercer. Welcome to everyone. Okay, John, should unions get a pass and no one else?
Absolutely not. Why would they? I mean, think about what they're saying right now. These are people who backed this law. They didn't read it. It's a surprise, surprise. Maybe some of these politicians should have read it. They're asking them to fix something that hasn't gone into effect yet. That's how bad this implementation process is going to happen. This is very similar to the corporate tax that was put in Chicago. You put it in and companies say, you know what, we're going to move to Wisconsin. So said, okay, we're going to exempt all of you companies that have political influence. That is exactly what is going on here. If you have political influence, you are getting an exemption and a waiver. There have been 19 different amendments, waivers, and exemptions already that have been passed to this thing. This is ridiculous. It's hypocritical. It's what happens when politicians don't read bills they pass.
Well, Jonas, you don't think this is a double standard, huh? Why?
Well, they have a legitimate beef in the sense that they have a collective bargaining. Most workers don't organize and negotiate a health care package along with their pay package. So if your employer does kick you off and do an exchange, you might get a higher pay rate in the future because that cost is now the burden of your employer. Union members will get hosed. And look, I don't say it's an unintended consequence. Like, you're not going to make this healthcare omelet without breaking a few eggs. Union Cadillac plans were one of the eggs that was going to get broken. People with really expensive healthcare, one way or the other, we're going to see it getting trimmed in one way or the other. And people with no health insurance or low quality health insurance, we're going to get a bump up. So they have to take it. It's part of the way the plan works to make it all come together, and it was there, to Layfield's point earlier.
Well, Gary B., doesn't this have a lot to do with the influence that unions do have? Of course, their membership is declining, but they get out the vote for the president, and they give a lot of money.
Exactly, Brenda. You know, when you showed that tape before, I had to laugh because it looked like something out of, some kind of political movie. I mean, you could have just had, under that, the Chiron Reed, a crony capitalism. I mean, walking down all kind of smug and smiling, and you knew the message there was like, hey, we helped get the president elected. We're going to get a deal done on our terms. I mean, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. And so what's going to happen? It looked like, if I can, read Trump's body language and what he was saying is there'll be a special deal cut for the unions, and so they'll get these Cadillac plans, they'll get money from the taxpayer, they'll make out great. The rest of the other 50% that didn't vote for Obama will get hosed. The unions have it right in one regard, that the current health care plan stinks and it needs to be changed.
But David, that's not what they thought at first when it was passed. They were the biggest enthusiastic supporters of this. What has happened to make them change?
Well, there's a provision in that they want subsidized benefits that would be on top of what they already received in the Taft-Hartley in providing health insurance to their members. But that aside, I don't think that, I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves in that I don't think you're going to see labor getting a pass. You have discussions going on, and, look, it's smart policy to try and strengthen any legislation, as has been the case in past major legislation.
Strengthen
and I think what we're going to see, though, or we're not going to see anymore, are those days when health insurance companies will no longer be able to deny coverage to those with pre-existing conditions or force people into bankruptcy because of the cost of health care and insurance.
Okay, Tracy, you got no part for
but
this.
That's not what the topic's about here. We're talking about unions. We're not talking about everything else. We're talking about the fact that it's like the audacity of arrogance with these unions that they still think, and I think Gary B. hit the nail on the head with the body language of Trump. He was walking around like the Godfather thinking, I'm going to get what I want. It's kind of a bump in the road right now, but I am going to figure this out, and I'm going to make it right for everyone. And the crazy part is the fact that we pander to this. Brenda, you said it earlier. Membership is so low. The money can't be that good anymore towards votes. It just can't be. There's enough people out there that get that these guys are just doing it all wrong.
And John, doesn't this give a green light now for lots of groups to say, hey, they got a pass, what about us?
Absolutely. Look, David's a very smart guy, and I like David, but it's the fact that people get passes, that's the reason we have a 70-something thousand page IRS manual right now, because everybody gets passes if you have political influence and if you can buy off these crooked politicians, which is exactly what these big lobbying groups do, and if you have influence, you get that done. Look, this is the problem that has come with healthcare. It's about $190 billion is what they're asking for. That is going to come out of the rest of us that are paying taxes in this. This is a free pass. It costs a lot of money, not to them.
Well,
Again, I'll just reiterate that there's no pass on the table for discussions.
Okay.
So let's wait until that
but
time
they're
comes, if it
asking
comes
for
at all.
one. They're asking for one, okay?
And that's a right for
David
everybody
is
to
right.
ask
Oh,
and
okay.
petition their government to do that.
Okay.
And if you got power, you'll get it.
David is right in the sense that the healthcare lobby got more in this bill than the union lobby or the union pressure is going to get in it. That's why their stocks are all rocking and rolling during this whole implementation, because they're not getting any punishment on their side. The punishment is going to be taken by some people. This plan benefits, David brought up earlier, some lower income workers, some people without health insurance, because it hurts other people. That's how it works. It needs to hold it together. All the pieces have to be there. That's why the unions aren't going to get what they want. That's why the Supreme Court thing was so important. If you take away a piece of this, it unravels like a big ball of yarn. So these play pieces have to make it, otherwise you can't just give out health insurance to all these other people and the pre-existing thing and all that. So
And
we're gonna
if I
see
can
it
add
as
a,
But, you know,
if I
Gary-
can add a point to Jonas's remark, the subsidies that are accruing for those that don't have health care are for those that don't have jobs, for those that may be unemployed below the poverty line, and so forth. Here we're talking with regard to labor's push is for those who already have jobs, have full health care from labor, and so forth, and there would be a double subsidy put to them, and that's the real sticking point, which I don't think you'll see get a pass and then get through what they're asking for.
Okay, Gary B.
Well, Brenda, here's the irony. David mentioned that, all these iterations, we've strengthened the law. We've strengthened it so much that every group I can see wants out of it now, except the big health care insurance.
Right.
Congress doesn't want to be under the umbrella of this. The unions don't want to be. It's such a great law. It's so strong. We rushed it through that we need to make these changes, and it's even better law now. So everyone should join up. I'm sorry. Jonas mentioned that we can't have all these things breaking. Look, we wouldn't have all these things breaking if this was well thought out. It wasn't well thought out.
The healthcare system is broken to begin with. This is a fix for it.
Hold on, David.
It was so well thought out that everyone wants out of it, just like every other big government program.
Okay, I got to get Tracy in here.
I just think that this is the problem with our political system these days, is that we hand out favors. And to John's point, the tax code is a book of favors as a result of it. And so nothing will ever get done. And you know what? Nothing will ever be fair, including Obamacare.
Okay, that's got to be the last word. Thanks, guys. 5 years after the financial meltdown, the agency created to protect consumers now accused of snooping on consumers. More proof, more government bureaucracy means more problems for you. Neil's gang is on it at the bottom of the hour, but up here for... Well, these Walmart protesters in D.C. are probably not very happy campers. The mayor of Washington, D.C. just vetoing legislation that would have forced the nation's largest private employer to hike workers' pay to $12.50 an hour. The city council could override the veto next week. But some here say if the mayor's decision holds, job creators everywhere just got the green light to hire. Tracy, is that right?
You know what? They should be thrilled about this, because now that Walmart is not beholden to some governmental rule, they will come in, Macy's will come in, Home Depot, Target, you name it. All these stores now will come and say, hey, we got jobs for you guys. We will come to your town. This is a good thing. The government should not dictate how much corporations should pay their employees. As a matter of fact, the capitalist system figures that out on its own, because if they don't pay enough, their people will go somewhere else. Walmart has been doing such great things for its people, contrary to what people think. It's employing them, first of all. Leave them alone.
How about you?